This show is brought to you by HCF Studios, Classics Barbershop, Service King Cleaning, Community First Care Organization.
Theology.
Yeah, what's going on?
Guess who's
Theology
back?
on the streets, my bad, but your one third here.
Guess who's back?
Yeah, guess who's back? Who's that?
Guess who's back? Don Dada, Pastor Newm.
Hey, Jam Juggernaut in the building. How you doing?
Your boy Pastor Lou here, Louis Diaz, and we have our producer here as well.
Kurt Classic, baby.
Guess who's back?
Yes.
Guess who's back?
Yes.
Come on.
Hey,
guess
listen,
who's
you
back?
can follow us on IG, Instagram, Theology in the Streets. You can follow us on Facebook, Theology in the Streets. Our Twitter handle is T.A.T.S_podcast, so make sure you follow us there and continue to listen and enjoy what we are producing through this Theology in the Streets podcast.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Our second episode here, and it is on COVID-19. So let me start off with a question here. You guys think that the government has done a good job as far as disseminating information, or have they done a poor job? And let me say this. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. How do you think our nation has handled COVID-19?
Two-folded question, I believe. Economically, it's challenging, I would say, because what do you do with a situation like this? It's new to everybody. So, I think it's real hard to have one answer for this particular subject, because I think the precautions, and I can speak for the most of New York State, living in New York State. I think the precautions that Cuomo put in line, I think they were necessary. You're talking about, let's talk about the city. You know what I mean? Let's talk about New York City.
Yeah.
You talk about a place where there's millions of people that are in a circumference that's just thousands of people in, a small circumference. If you talk about the PJs, wherever they're gathered. Yeah. Let's say if they didn't shut it down. Wherever the people gathered, it's tons of people gathered. Just walking down the streets, there's tons of people. You know what I mean? So the spread probably would have been more rapid if they didn't shut down when they did. Up here is a little different. Okay, we're not as
Western New York.
Yeah, we're more raw, and I don't think I think it still was necessary. So I think the precautions that were taken, I believe, they were necessary for the spread. As far as the economy, tough.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, New York State's budget was already hurting, but. Do you think they could have did something different as far as how they handled the economy? I mean, they shut everything down.
Yeah, I disagree with that totally.
Okay.
I think that was the wrong move. I think the median age for people who are dying from coronavirus, I think worldwide, is a very high age. It's mostly old people dying. I think in hindsight, right? The correct move would have been old people stay home. People with underlying conditions stay home, quarantine, wear masks, exercise, hyper hygiene, right? You ain't had to close the whole country, son. Messed up the whole economy, stock market, unemployment spikes like crazy.
That stimulus check was very nice. That stimulus check was very nice. I don't know what you talking about. But listen,
yeah, at what price though? At what price? I mean, our grandkids are gonna be paying super high taxes because we just made a whole.
The baby boomers
debt.
been taken away from that, so let's not go there.
The national debt, I think, is now doubled or something. I mean, like, come on, bro.
Listen, I think that we got to talk about the asymptomatic people too. Mm-hmm. So regardless, we can say that but we don't know people with underlying, health issues. People with asthma. Not everybody that's old got asthma. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of diabetes. Right. You could be young with diabetes.
That's what I said, though. I said old people and people with underlying conditions.
Hold on, but let me ask this, Dawn, because you own a business, and if, let's say, the government...
I ain't get nothing for the business.
Right. Let me say that if the government took a different approach, and let's say New York State took a different approach with Cuomo, saying that, you know what, certain businesses could stay open, and you were one of those businesses as a barbershop to stay open. Yeah, you did get shut down.
Yeah.
Would you have stayed open even though you know how serious it is? Okay.
No, wifey was not hearing it.
All right.
That's first of all. And I'm a man's man. I don't let wifey, but I let wifey rock on that one. No, I would have had stood open just because in the beginning we didn't know enough information.
Yeah.
So I had to take a pause and just look before I can make the right choice and see what's going on through information.
Yeah.
So I took a step back, and anytime I was trying to get unemployment because they was hitting everybody with the extra $500. So if they give you extra $500, but I didn't get that. But anyways, but but check this out. But God provided through the whole thing.
Amen.
That's the real talk right there. God, I didn't go short on anything. Actually, we did well through it through the grace of God. He always provides. So I wouldn't have stood open, and I understood why they shut it down. See, that's what I'm saying. I think you got to understand, as a barber, we on top of our customers, man. It's different, yeah. We face to face with you. We touching your face. You know what I mean? I'm a little closer to people than I want to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little different for us in that field as opposed to someone else that
retail
can.
Or
yeah,
something
exactly,
to that nature.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, how about the contradictions, man? Like you said, let's shut everything down. Let's be safe. Let's be hyper safe. We don't want to spread this. We want to, what's that word? We want the curve. What the curve?
They wanted to flatten
the curve.
Yeah.
Flatten the curve. That was like, it was out there everywhere. Everybody has a
Protect your
responsibility
circle.
to
That's
all
what
other
I'm
human
was saying.
beings in America
Protect
to
your
flatten the
circle.
curve. And now we have contradictions to that.
Well,
right?
I say this, that I just think that the government didn't know. People just didn't know, man. They just went off of what was going on in China, what was going on in Korea, what was going on in Spain, what was going on in Europe, especially what happened in Italy, how they got bombarded with the deaths and how the surge in the hospitals was so much. So I think we took serious precautions, probably a little bit too late, in my opinion, but people just didn't know. There was no information on this virus. It is completely brand new. And to this day, they're still finding out more. My understanding, according to one article I read, that the original virus has mutated since then. And meaning this, that what was found in Europe is 10 times more aggressive as far as infecting people than what was in Wuhan, China.
Wow.
So, I mean, if this thing is mutating to some degree to be a little bit more aggressive, they're still trying to figure it out. And this is the problem, right? Because human nature is to be about its routines, right? And then this thing really just broke all routines.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was affected by this. You know what I mean? And let me ask this then. Because it's affected the routines of our lives, outside of the business part about it, how has it affected the way you deal with your everyday life at home?
Well, look at this now. Well, okay, so we had the massive scare. Okay, everyone was aware, so to speak. Everybody, no one's outside. Quarantine everybody. Then when you do come out, you come out with gloves and mask. Okay, so you could say, Gemma say that's a little extreme. Corkish that word. And then he would say that's a little extreme. But now that they're doing the phases and letting everything reopen, nobody got a mask on. Nobody got gloves on. Everybody's just meeting up like everything go back to normal. And now we see what? Spikes in the numbers going up.
Spikes are starting to come up, especially down in Florida.
Florida, what we got here?
The reason for the spike, though, I just read, is there's more testing going on now.
Well, that's not all. That's not all of it.
Not all of it. That's a part of the reason why there's a
it.
spike, because we have more testing now, and therefore more knowledge.
It's more testing, but I think people are still not necessarily keeping.
That's a small percentage of it, right?
Keeping to the guidelines, right?
Exactly. You got South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Arizona, Oregon.
Yep.
The numbers have went up.
Spiked. Yep.
Went up. Okay, and these are places that already been in phase 3, phase 4.
Yeah.
So that plays a part too in that research also.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing though. I think quarantining was a bad thing. I think we should have exercised herd immunity and let the human beings just, except for the old people and people with underlying conditions, because that would have made the humans stronger. That herd immunity whole thing. If you look into that science, that's how we develop antibodies on a higher level.
What was it? Norway who did that? I forgot what country.
Sweden.
It was. Sweden. That's what it was.
Didn't
Sweden.
even lock down.
Yeah, but their death rate per capita was the highest in all of Europe.
Wow, look at
per
that.
capita. So,
and it got studies from the Netherlands that people have long-term symptoms too from it.
Yeah.
So they called it, got mild symptoms. Now they've been going months.
Yeah,
with,
they're still
struggling
with
shortness of breath, symptoms, whatever the case may be. They're still having the symptoms. So going back to what Lou's saying, is it progressing in somehow? Is it, transforming in somehow? Like what they still don't know.
Yeah, but human nature though is not to be antisocial. You know what I'm saying? Right, how much can you, so recently Governor Cuomo, he saw, and I just saw this even on the news today, he saw New York City, like these bars opened up and they were out there and without masks and he was like, what's wrong with y'all people? He's like, yo, if I got to shut it down, I'm going to shut it down. This is the problem though. Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, responded and say, yo, listen, man, people cannot be imprisoned in their own places. And it's one thing when it's cold outside, you can justify, all right, but when it's warm out,
it's hard.
And people want to get out, they want to enjoy life, they want to enjoy the warm weather, and not only that, you'd be surprised how much social interaction you can take for granted. Like, yo,
I bet you a lot of people,
from a family standpoint, our family is very tight knit. We like to do a lot of social gatherings.
I was still doing it.
I'm missing my people. Yeah.
My life
Cuomo.
was not
Cuomo.
my life was not affected at all from the coronavirus.
Bro, you live a quarantine life.
That's what I'm saying.
But
you
are
live a quarantine life, bro.
Yeah.
My wife has to put me in the headlock to leave the house,
You are
bro.
quarantined. No, he's lying. No, he's lying. He's lying because he did get up with me. We did get together because you couldn't take it no more. So stop it.
No.
You did get up.
Even you caught it, huh?
Yeah, he caught it.
He was like, I need to get out.
But you're right. You for the people that live quarantine lives,
I didn't get affected at all.
It didn't affect.
Yeah, but no, that was what I'm saying. So even the introverted person, right, who likes to kind of get alone and be they after a while was like, I need to be around some people.
Even them. You're right.
Let alone the extrovert, they were going crazy from first week.
Oh yeah, this guy right here, the extrovert.
Well, no, I'm not extrovert. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, you're all about social gatherings.
God made me that
center
way.
of attention.
God made me that way.
And
back in the day, listen, I think you forget. See, I've been Christian for a little while here, and everybody's forgotten how I used to be. I can stay with now, I did have to get with my circle, but that was us.
Yeah, it was us.
That was us, yeah. Or no, the circle, the Cypher in the studios, or just Edito, you know what I mean? But I didn't have to go outside that circle.
Okay.
Women-wise, maybe, but outside that, that I wasn't that's the Lord has changed me. God has changed me. Yeah. But let's talk about some facts here, okay? Let's CDC, okay?
Yeah. Yes.
This is what we're facing now. Cases in New York, they say it's about 2 million.
Cases. Not New York. Not New York.
I mean, New York. I'm sorry, U.S.
Yeah.
That's America. US,
so 2.1 million,
2.1 million in the U.S. Sorry about that. The deaths in U.S., they say about 115.
Yeah.
No, it's at 118,200.
This was
right now.
Yeah, that's right now. This is the 14th. This is from the 14th.
Today.
That's today. That's today.
So we've had a increase in about 300.
Yeah.
Deaths across the nation.
Yeah. New cases 20,000. New deaths 424 today.
Yes. So percentage wise of that, as far as deaths to actual people who have been diagnosed, that's 5%.
Mortality rate.
What do you think about that?
That's serious. That's serious.
Exactly.
That's serious.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
now,
bad.
Is it serious or is that kind of low?
No, it's not low compared to the flu. I think the flu's like what? I don't know the numbers to the flu, but it's like 1 point something or something.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about this percentage with the precautions that we're taking.
Yeah.
Also, that's the mortality rate in America, correct?
In America.
Not world, in America.
This is America. This is U.S.
So let me throw this at y'all, right? So back in like end of March, April, they were, I think it was the Surgeon General was predicting that, and Dr. Fauci was predicting that we could have somewhere between 200,000 deaths up to 500,000 deaths. Some was even on the extreme, like millions of deaths. But it's looked like we're starting to go down that route.
I think if we
like we didn't even hit summer yet.
We didn't even hit
Not on top of that, October being maybe they saying another big round of it coming around.
Well, and then with everybody tired of being quarantined too.
Yeah, that too.
That push of I don't want to be isolated and everybody wanting to gather, because you got to understand, you got the parks were closed, everything was closed. So people are starting to say, I don't care if Corona. And then they're coming out here reckless with no mask. I travel around the city all the time. Nobody has a mask.
We also have to bring up the contradictions in the CDC rules and regulations on how to flatten the curve. I mean, they say social gatherings, keep it to 12. Protest, 100.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make sense? How does that even make sense? That's a perfect example of weaponizing it for politics.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, that's true.
And that's that.
Well, I think because they know they can't
CDC
stop
can't
it.
do nothing about it.
Yeah, I think they know they can't stop it.
And who's
So they
really
gotta try to censor it
To be honest
somehow.
with you, we've been doing this so long.
Shouldn't CDC be like, no, you shouldn't gather?
Oh, but they
You
But they
shouldn't
ain't gonna
gather.
stop nobody.
With everything
Especially
that's
not
going
for
on
what's
now,
going on.
exactly.
Yeah,
I think they're
yeah.
scared to say that.
I think that
the
takes a
CDC's scared to
precedence.
say that, bro. They're like,
You're right. They are scared to
They're
say that.
scared to
Because
say
it's
that,
a very fragile climate right now when it comes to the
Exactly.
civil rights
Exactly.
movement.
So-
And
I
they're
think
like,
if
yeah,
they
we don't
could,
want to.
if they could, they'd be like, no one go. But now they're like, listen, if you're gonna go,
Yeah.
have your mask on.
Yeah,
And only
100, you guys.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Only 100.
But if you go to church, I don't know, 12.
Yeah. So
I mean, come on.
10 to
Well,
12,
That's crazy.
Let's talk about the churches that didn't close and the ones that did.
Yeah.
Now, because let's talk about that. Let's talk about how
because it's split in the church.
and some of them get slack from one another.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how you feel about that, Lou?
So this is the thing. I think initially, like everybody else, was like just listening to what the experts were saying, and let's abide by what the experts are saying, what the government is saying. Let's be safe and let's stop having services, go to live streaming. I was with that, but over time now, based on the numbers, man, church needs to get together, man. I really believe that. I'm for that. However, I'm not demanding it either, because I understand there's people that are cautious. There are people that are afraid. There are people that are just like, I don't know about that. Even my wife is like, I ain't going nowhere yet. I ain't taking my son over there. It ain't happening. So I respect that, and I don't want to make people feel off. But there have been others, and I mean others church-wise, who have been extreme and say, well, you guys don't have enough faith.
Exactly.
That I'm not cool with either, because now you put a legalism on people that, well, if I ain't going, then am I really honoring God? Simple people in a sense. But there is a divide. There's a divide.
Well,
and
this
is
say
the
we're
thing,
the
divide, what I've seen, and not to make this racial again, but I've seen it with minorities. Minorities like, yo, we ain't never coming to church right now because there's COVID-19. And then white evangelicals is like, they screaming, yo, it's our Second Amendment right to come and gather. And y'all are fringing on that. Let's get together.
Locally, I've seen minority churches take another spin on that. I've seen locals saying that we don't have enough faith, that they never shut down.
Okay. Yes.
Locally, I've seen that. Smaller churches, you know what I mean? Which makes sense. You're a small church. You kind of know if the fifth person in that row coughs, you're just gonna stay away from him. But and they've been blasting at other churches that have taken that stance to say, hey, we're gonna just be safe. Saying we wake your faith. How does that speak to the people that's non-believers? This division here. Yeah. Speak about that, Kurt, or one of you embellish on that, because it's not a good testimony.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just it goes back to tolerance, right? What Paul taught in the scriptures about being tolerant. One man eats meat, another man decides that he's not going to eat meat, but they both do it unto the glory of the Lord. So in that regard, we have to have tolerance with each other to allow each other to have personal convictions that may not necessarily deal with salvation issues. You know what I'm saying? And just leave it like that. You know what I'm saying? I can respect you. You don't want to go to church. Okay, cool. And then you feel like, you have to go to church to exercise your faith, then amen. Praise God. You know what I mean? I think we have to be sensible.
Now, let me ask you this. Kurt, you've had experience with people who have actually had COVID-19. Briefly share what that experience has been like.
It's been a little, it's like twofold, because when obviously when it's first hit, it was like, not really a big deal. You know what I mean? I could say most of my family, erred on the side of like, this is really not, we making too much of it. Then when it hit my uncle and my aunt, and then they passed from it. That's when, okay, well maybe we should take it a little bit more serious. And then it hit my dad, and it was like, oh dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, yo, this is getting serious, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I got to be honest, man. After my dad got better, and like, cause they called me up and they was like, yo, based upon the symptoms that you described, they pretty much believe I had it too.
I was gonna say, you told me you think you had the Rona.
No, I'm serious.
You said, don't say I think I had the Rona.
He done passed it to everybody.
Yeah, and I think he done gave me the Rona.
Yo, so after that, I'm like, so it was like when it hits different people, obviously. So look at the situation. My aunt and uncle were older, had underlying issues. They had hypertension, right? Mm-hmm. And then my dad, he deals with high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? But he was able to fight it off. You know what I'm saying? It kind of knocked him down. He was close though. If I hadn't showed up, he probably would have been gone.
Yeah, I remember you telling about that. Yeah, that was deep. That was deep.
That was God that did that. But outside of that though, to be honest, man, it really hasn't affected us like that. So even the deaths that we have experienced, and then my dad going through it, coming out of it. Now my dad, if you talk to my dad, he like, you know what I'm saying? He on that, like, he taking it serious.
How severe was your dad?
I told you, bro. If I didn't show up, he was dead.
But I mean, when he went to the hospital, what did they have on ventilation? Or what?
They put him on a ventilator because he had blood clots in his lungs.
Yeah, that's one of the symptoms.
No, I'm sorry. They didn't put him on a ventilator. They put him on a breathing. They just gave him oxygen.
They gave him oxygen.
Yeah,
okay, that's why I want to know how serious he was.
Yeah,
okay.
they didn't give him the ventilator.
But they gave him oxygen because they was curving people.
Yeah.
They were telling you just go home. Don't even come here. Just go stay home.
Yep.
Yeah, nah, they came to the house. When he called the ambulance, they came to the house. He's like, yeah, dude, you need to come to the hospital. Went to the hospital, called up, and then at first when I called, they were like, he just got blood clots in his lungs. And it was like, it's not really, I mean, it's dangerous if we hadn't caught it. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, he probably wouldn't have made it past today. But they were like, but it's something that we could take care of. We just give him some medicine, he'll be okay. And then about a couple hours later, he called me, and he was like, they said that I have it. So, and then I read up that the blood clots in the lungs is one of the symptoms.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That after you've had it for so long, that's what develops, and then after that, bro, you out of here.
So it's hard to come from that stage.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
So he's
he's like, nah, bro, like
serious.
He's taking it serious.
Well, the same thing for me. I had a cousin that had it. Okay, I had a cousin. He's like 42, 43. Okay, this is my road dog, my cousin. Big shouts to Al Pacino. But Pacino had it, and when I tried to speak to him on the phone, he couldn't even talk. He couldn't even talk. He couldn't even say. He couldn't even say a word. He was gasping. Gasping. He couldn't even have a conversation with me, and it frightened me. I'm gonna tell you, because this is my cousin that we rolled tight from back in the days. Jam, I know Al Pacino. Mm-hmm. So Akim. So all right. So thank God I was able to give him one of my asthma medicines, and shortly after that, like a couple of days, he was able to at least breathe a little better. Because they curved him. They told him stay home, quarantine.
Crazy,
yeah, they was like, that's it. Stay home. We got nothing for you. You just go through it. You're young. Hopefully you can. But he couldn't even breathe. He couldn't even talk. Yeah. He said he felt so lethargic that he never felt like this before. So it's serious. Yeah. He was like, you take 2 steps, it felt like you ran 17 miles. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't hardly breathe. He couldn't even talk on the phone sitting down.
It's crazy.
So I was able to give him my asthma medicine. Not just thinking of him. My mom was like, well, maybe we should try to give him this. It helps for everything else. Actually, my Uncle Lotus was the one that thought of it. And he gave it to him, and he was like, man, this is the only thing that helps me breathe is taking this medicine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not even out there right there. Only I got it. So listen, y'all hit me up, you know what I mean? We work out the prices, I got y'all, you know what I mean? I got the cure.
We had a brother that's affiliated with our church, and he came in just to visit, and when he walked in, his name is Sean Courtney. He walked in with his oxygen tank. Now, if you know Brother Sean,
I didn't even know Brother Sean had it.
Yeah, he's like in his mid-50s, and he's a strong, strong black brother. And when he walked in and I seen him I was like, "What's going on, brother?" He's like, "You didn't know?" I was like, "No, what?" I said, "I've been in the hospital for the past 3 weeks with COVID-19."
Wow.
You know, he thought he was going to die.
Wow.
And this is what they told him, though, that his lungs have been so scarred that it was going to take at least 2 months for him to heal.
That's crazy.
So you know, the after effects of it is serious when it's that extreme, when you really get hit hard with the symptoms for respiratory failure. So
what y'all think about going forward with these phases? You think they're gonna have to reevaluate that, or keep it going, keep opening up phases? What you think?
This is the problem, man. You know, how long can you keep the American economy down?
That's another thing.
Like, people need to live, man. Seriously, yo.
Unless they're gonna keep hitting everybody with unemployment.
Listen, capitalism is all trickle down kind of mentality, right? Yeah. So all the corporations make money that trickles down onto the little people, you know, working the warehouse jobs and that kind of mentality. The same is true when corporations start losing money.
Yes,
that's going to trickle down over time. And I don't think right now we may not be seeing the effects of that. But if we continue going down the route of keeping the economy shut down to some degree, people are going to start feeling it even harder than what they felt it just by losing their job. You know, there's a lot of people that lost their jobs. Yeah, some of them been furloughed. But at the same time, man, how can
businesses went out of business?
Yes, a lot of small businesses.
That's why I thank God we made it through it. But wow, it was tough. It is
tough. So it's a double-edged sword in a sense, man, which kind of makes you think, like, when you look at scripture in these last days, right? Jesus says in Matthew 24, you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. You're going to hear of famines. You're going to hear of pestilences and things of that nature. Like, does the American church really know what's coming, right? No. And I know, depending on where your view on eschatology is, simply meaning the return of Christ, the rapture happening before tribulation, mid-tribulation, or even if it's
that's
after
another
tribulation.
Topic right
that's
there.
a whole nother topic. But I think things are going to get difficult for the entire globe before Christ returns. I mean, that's just evident in Scripture. And I think the church is going to have either a great say in this time, or the church is going to fold big time as well. And because we're really going to be tested, especially the American church in its comforts. You know what I'm saying? In its comforts. And that's difficult, man.
And I think they give the church sometimes gives a message that God's going to heal everything, deliver everything. What you think about that? Like,
sometimes it's too flowery.
It's too flowery. Like, God, just pray and God's going to heal that, and God's going to. I mean, our heart's desire is that, but is that true?
Yeah, I think we just have to be biblically minded in that, right? So there's one thing to speak negatively, but it's another thing to speak the truth of God's word, which may be negative.
Exactly.
You know, the reality is Jesus made it clear, like, yo, it's going to get ugly before I come.
He's got to return for something.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's going to get ugly before he comes. Yeah. Now,
he said it's going to get so bad.
Yes.
That's the reason why he has to come.
That's a fact.
He has to cut it short.
Even the very elect, if I don't come,
Exactly.
the elect might.
They be lost.
Yeah.
They be lost.
So I got to come back.
So he got to cut the time short.
Got to.
I mean, and the church sends that message like, oh, we just need to get back to, and I'm not saying don't pray. I understand that message because everybody, we got to repent. We got to come back to the Lord. But biblically, teaching wise, this has got to happen.
Yes.
It
does.
And it's, I mean.
And it's got to happen, and it has been happening.
And it has
That's the thing that we got to realize is that this has happened before. And that's why he told them what you said earlier, Lou, that when you see these things, the end is not yet.
Yep.
Like those things right there, the pestilence, the earthquake, all that's not the sign of the end times. Nope. That's just, like you said, the birth.
The beginning of sorrows is what Jesus said.
So he said, don't even worry about that. It's that don't let your heart be troubled and all that. Don't worry about that part. It's the part that comes after that. He said that the days is going to be like you've never seen upon the earth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, that's the part he's like, that's why I got to come back. Because if I don't, bro.
And listen, we don't know where this is going to end with this Rona.
No.
We don't know where we at. You know what I mean? To kick the truth about Rona, it's a bad virus.
So
it'll get you sick anytime. Oh, my bad.
That's
the truth about Rona.
Let me throw this at y'all, right? So do you think the virus was cooked up in the lab, or was it just from eating some crazy funky animals?
Me and Dawn was just talking about
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
right?
They still
There's
speculating
stuff out there.
They're still speculating where it came from.
Yeah.
They still saying they think somewhere in Europe before China. I said this. Dumb people have been eating that in that city for years.
But I think that's just your
That's my
Oriental
opinion.
your Asian background.
It might be.
And you're feeling
It might be my
defensive
little bit of
and you're
love
trying
for
to
my
defend
Asian
your people.
people.
You know what I'm
Shouts out
saying?
to my Asian people. Yo, shouts out to my Asian people. Sometimes I gotta represent my Asian. I represent my Spanish. I gotta represent my other side. Listen, listen. I just think, bro, come on now. They've been eating rats and all that for years, bro.
And bats.
They know how to cook that, bro.
And, but
they know how to take it out.
They're cutting it up in the streets right there.
They've been doing that. Have they not been doing this for years? Is this place new?
Yeah, but it's also they've been doing that for years.
And everything's been fine for years.
No, it hasn't been fine for years.
Well, okay, what has
China's the first country who started wearing masks on a mass scale.
Why?
Due to a whole bunch of viruses
What's
over there.
there?
The
What's
SARS
in that country?
originated over there.
Is it CDC there?
A whole bunch of them. Oh, damn, we can't get into this.
we gonna cut it right. We come back.
right.
We come back next segment.
All right, check it out. Yo, trending on the streets.
Don't believe the hype.
Rayshard Brooks, man, rest in peace.
Man.
Another African male shot in the back by 2 police officers after he was found sleeping in a drive-thru at Wendy's. Was acting accordingly. The cops were acting professional. They went to arrest him for DUI after a very friendly interaction with law enforcement officers. Then my man went ham, wrestled with the cops, took their taser, started running away, and then it got shot in the back by the officer. Riots ensued the next day. Police officer got fired. The other police officer got reassigned to another department. They burned down the Wendy's. What's going on, man?
Where was this?
Atlanta, right? Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia. Now, when you say he was acting friendly and everything,
He was
cordial,
completely cooperative.
when did it turn? When
They went to arrest him.
he
When
just
they went to arrest him.
burst out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere, just started like boom, went to run, and they wrestled him down, and he manhandled both police
Yeah, he did.
officers,
He did.
took the taser and started jetting. And one police officer chased him. He shot the taser at him, missed or hit. I don't know. Then the other cop.
Nah, the same cop that he tried to hit the taser with pulled out his pistol and shot him in the back twice. I think he fired 3 shots.
3 shots hit him twice.
Hit him
Killed
twice.
Yeah. Now, he ain't had to shoot the dude, man.
Nah, he didn't.
It's a DUI, bro. It's a DUI. It's a ticket, bro. Nobody's
serious.
rights is in danger.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let-
Even
I
if he
mean,
got away,
He would have got tired.
he got away with a DUI.
They got his car.
He got his car.
They
What are you
had
gonna
his
do?
car.
Yeah, you could give him a ticket later.
You got your ID. You got the car. You could call some backup to run him down.
But he got the
and
taser too.
capture
He had the
him.
Yo,
taser too, though.
Check this out though. So how much of that was training?
Training. Yes.
How much of it
terrible
was
training,
adrenaline?
How much of it was racial? Because
Yeah.
I have a stat right here.
Uh-huh.
The same thing happened in March 16th, 2020. Police arrested a man after he allegedly took one officer's taser and threatened officers and hospital security personnel with it. This was in Wichita Falls. Police arrested Heath Henson, 38 years old. He came out alive. They didn't shoot him.
White guy?
White guy.
Yeah.
And he was.
So you see the disparity there.
But okay, and now what did the white guy shot the taser at them and everything?
He had the taser in his hand and he was threatening the police officer with it, and they just talked him down. You know what I'm saying? They ain't shoot him.
So I had an incident about 3 or 4 years ago, right across the street. My neighbor, white guy, good dude. He's actually a good guy, but he was having a moment, a life crisis. I think he was inebriated, drunk, and I don't know what happened. But the cops rolled up and onto his house, and he came out with his bat, threatening the cops. I think he was looking to be shot.
Oh yeah.
And he was swinging his bat at the cops.
Swinging the bat?
Swinging the bat at the cops.
Oh, if he was
bro.
black,
It's
he'd have
right
been
across
shot.
the street.
He'd have been shot if he was black.
They didn't shoot him.
Oh yeah.
They talked him down.
They didn't tase him or nothing?
Nothing. They talked him down.
Yeah.
And they eventually arrested him and took him
Yeah.
away.
Rayshard Brooks was running away.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
There's
And they shot him in the back.
There's definitely a different view as far as the way police officers view white.
You have to
Suspects
acknowledge
versus-
the disparities, man.
Exactly.
Got to.
There's something going on there.
Yep.
Got to. And the thing is, listen. I was having this conversation with one of my coworkers. They say it's the union too that you got to deal with, and And when you deal with the union, who runs the union?
Who runs the union? I mean, that's
I mean, I don't want to say it because I don't want to get whacked. Put it like that.
Oh, the Italians?
No, it's not. I'm not even going.
Not that union.
That union.
That's the trucker union,
That
right?
that union. That's again. I don't want to get whacked.
Make this clear
When you-
because I'm a
this
little
still-
slow on
Hold
uptake
on
here.
now. That's kind of like politically
That's what they
incorrect.
said. That's what
to
that
be
was his-
accusing.
He says still mob ties. The union still has mob ties to this day.
Wow.
That's what they say. They say you just don't see it no more.
Okay, when you say that, they say that. Where are you getting that from?
Yeah.
I'm getting that from a union worker.
Wow.
Just put it like that. I ain't gonna put his name out there.
Yeah, no, okay.
Wow.
Union worker, been on the union for years. He said, "You know who run the union? The good fellas
The good fellas, huh?
still run the union. To this day, they just quiet as kept,
Wow.
and they make sure what's in place stays in place."
Well, we
Goes
have to
to
be-
Tony Soprano on the low.
Yeah, we have to be careful though not to offend the Italian American.
That's why I said it's not Italian. Got nothing to do with it. Yeah, got nothing to do with Italian. Got nothing to do with Italian. That's why I said that. But I'm just saying.
But that's speculation though, because
That
that's
is
your boy
speculation.
talking to you.
That's my
You
boy.
know that
Hey,
for
but, hey,
sure.
listen.
But the union, hold on. Let's just the union is a problem. That they protect police officers to the death,
Exactly.
even
But
if
that's
they're
the role-
wrong or whatever.
That's the role of
That's
the
their
union,
role.
though. That's
Yeah.
their job, right?
But-
It's like they're the lawyers for
Yes.
these dudes. So.
Also, the union makes sure that percentile is that color. Ooh. See, understand that? What I'm trying to tell you. See, that's he was breaking down some stuff to me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he was like, they the one that make sure that. Now they know when to hire, people of color, but they make sure the majority. And, bro, he was breaking down to me the civil service tests are kind of racial.
How
In
so?
what way?
He said the questions are not catered to people of color, and that's why we don't pass the psyche test.
Oh, they said it's the same thing about the SATs, that they're racial.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like people growing up in the city and all that, they don't read these books.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
it's like
They're not prepared for it. Yeah.
right for SAT.
So he was just breaking
which is-
down some stuff to me.
Interesting,
I'm just like, So he said that's what he said, and he said the powers that be make sure that percentage is the majority, and this the way it is. So to change anything, we have to go after the union.
everywhere. Yeah. Anything affiliated with the police department, which the union is an entity that's affiliated with the police department. So yeah, we need reform everywhere, right?
Exactly.
Recruiting.
I think we're in agreement with all that.
covered all that,
Definitely reform, police reform needs to come in. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Speaking to a retired police officer, he even said what happened to Rayshard Brooks. That was not training. They don't train people to do what that police officer did. At least not here in New York State. It's just listen. It comes down to police are human and they're depraved too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sin has bound them as well. Even though they have a duty to uphold the law, they in a moment. That's all it takes. A fraction.
But-
and how much of it was fear with this police officer?
Well, that's
for
what I'm saying.
whatever
He
reason.
shot the taser at him.
Rayshard Brooks
And I think that was
fired
more of
the
a
taser.
reaction.
Fired
Which
the
was
taser.
a wrong reaction.
Wrong
Yeah,
reaction.
Wrong, but
Definitely
it
wrong
still was a reaction. Now you said he was in the Wendy's parking lot, or was he in the drive-through?
He's in the drive-through. People are
He was
behind
blocking
him.
the drive-through.
Yeah, he's blocking.
So he
the
fell
drive-thru
asleep
and
at
fell
the
asleep.
They
wheel?
could still
Yes.
get around him, but he just was in the middle of the drive-through.
He was in the middle of the drive-through,
Knocked out.
knocked out, and he was parked.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
parked.
life and death situation, man. It was a DUI, bro.
Yeah.
They could have just let the guy run down the street, called the cruiser to pick him up. Like, bro.
Not only that, if he was parked, he was.
And if
you
he
know what I mean?
if he was inebriated, man, people don't think right when they're
Nah,
drunk.
they don't.
That's another thing. You got to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
My man is
Ain't
drunk.
thinking right.
See, I can't
But I'm
co-sign that. Can't co-sign that.
Why?
There's no
Why?
excuse for him not to
There
have
is an
resisted
excuse.
arrest.
He's not in the right frame of mind. There is an excuse.
No, I mean, he wasn't drunk like that. He was acting.
How you know?
How you know
my
that?
man fell out
He
in the
was
parking lot,
acting-
and his car's beeping the horn, trying to get their
Yeah.
food.
He was
my man was
acting-
drunk.
he
Bro,
was
listen,
acting
this time,
civil,
you
man.
can't tell me the times when before you became a Christian, the times have you ever been drunk, blacked out, did not know how you got home?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, many a
See,
times.
that's my point.
Many
You
a
don't
times.
know if he
you don't
was
know
at
what.
that point.
Yeah, you don't even know what you would have
Bro,
done.
Listen, I remember one time at the Buffalo show when you guys were performing over there. My wife told me that when I don't remember how I got home that night. Okay, that's how hammered I was. My wife told me that when we were leaving Buffalo, I gave them the exact instructions how to get out. I don't remember that.
Wow.
Exactly.
I don't remember that. I don't even remember how I got home.
Exactly.
I don't remember how I got
You're
home.
not in the right state of frame of mind.
And it's not this. We don't know how much this guy drank.
Exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where you can drink, you still be drunk, and you can remember.
But there's times you don't.
But there's times you don't.
And how many times people got to fill you in on the stupid stuff that you did do when you was intoxicated? Listen, it was one time that I was so intoxicated that I pulled up. I woke up at the toll booth. I don't know how I got to the toll booth.
Oh, you told me about that stuff.
Yeah, I woke up while the person asking me for money, giving me the toll booth.
That's when you
ticket.
came to.
That's when I came to awakening, that back to my wits. I just boom, and I even looked at her funny and looked around the car, and nobody. And I drove up to the toll booth. I must have drove all the way to the toll booth. I don't know how I got there. I don't know if I was driving good. I might have been driving real good because I didn't get pulled over, obviously. But I probably was doing speed limit.
No cops was out at that time.
But the thing is, that whole process, that whole time, I could have been doing anything.
Yeah. Right. So you drank a lot. So we would have to determine if he was extremely inebriated. We would have to get his breathalyzer test.
because he blew.
He blew.
Did blew.
And they say that he was drunk. Yeah. See? So obviously
they
we know
say
that.
you can smell it.
How drunk?
They say you can smell it. As soon as he
You're
opened
still
up the car
influenced.
door. Come on.
You're still under the influence. Come on, look
Even
how
if you're a
simple
little
this
buzzed.
is. You're at
Even
the
if you're a little
Wendy's
buzzed.
and you're passed out at the Wendy's, bro. Come on, like how further we have to go? There, my man was he felt it, and you you're dealing with someone.
It doesn't justify him fighting the cops either, right? So we're not
that's a
saying
good
that.
point.
Right.
That's a good point. It doesn't.
Even, but when someone is, they're not thinking right.
They're not thinking right though.
And I think that's part of maybe police reform of analyzing and dealing with the situation. This is the thing, though. I would think they would train him for stuff like this, right? So I don't know because I'm not a cop.
Yeah, they shouldn't have shot him in the back.
No,
That's
and then
all
you
I'm
could
saying.
have. You had his car. You had all his information.
You had
So just
everything
let
you
him
needed.
run, and then you just go to his house tomorrow and just pick him up. Like, bro,
Listen,
Not
but-
let him run. You could have called a cruiser to pick him up.
Yeah, no,
let
you
him
gotta
run.
block
I would
him
let
up.
him
Yeah.
run.
They'd have picked him up.
Where is
mad
he
quick.
going? I know where you live. I know. I got all your information.
Well,
where you're
this
going.
is the thing, though. There's a danger, though, because if he's running off and he's not in his right frame of mind,
And he
he
has
could
a
be
taser.
he could be a danger to the
Citizens.
Oh, I got the keys.
But-
I just wait for him at his house.
Well,
I know
no,
where he
no,
live
I'm
at
just
the park
saying,
right in
though.
front of you ready yet? Bro,
Unless
ready
you want to
go?
wild out and try to jack somebody's car, right? Now we all assumptions here, so
Yeah.
but nevertheless, I think the police officers were in the right to try to detain him.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, just the way they handled that situation,
They
was
didn't have
just-
to shoot him.
Yeah, they didn't have to shoot him, dude.
And-
And not only that, shoot him in the back.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Right. They didn't have to
So-
shoot him. But my man shouldn't have ran.
Two
And he shouldn't have had-
He was
negatives
talking
going
about-
on in
He
this
was
situation.
just talking about, yo, I got 3 kids. They at home the whole nine.
man.
Bruh. Yeah, I mean, be responsible to your children. You ain't had to resist arrest. Now, maybe you was too drunk. You ain't know what you was doing. I don't know. I can't co-sign that. Kids should have been in your head. You was just talking about your kids. You know what I'm saying? But no excuse. They shouldn't have shot him.
Well,
They
no,
shouldn't have shot
I would say this too.
Need training.
I would say this, right?
New training.
Awareness, right? And what I mean by that, police awareness
Yeah.
with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
The first thing you
Yes.
do is pull this right out and start popping.
Yeah.
That's
Like
what
that
I
to
said
me
earlier.
is like, yo, what in
Absolutely.
the world? That's
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
to me.
And he got no. You know he has no gun. You know he has no. He got the.
Bro, he running off, man. He running away.
He
you know what I'm
running.
saying?
He running. Yeah.
So it's just there's so many factors in this, man. And
Remember, there was a struggle, though.
without a doubt. So
They were
it's
wrestling, they were
adrenaline
fighting.
going, adrenaline's going, fear probably going.
He hit one of the cops with the taser.
Yeah.
I mean, he manhandled these two
Yeah, he
dudes.
did, he
So,
did. But that's that drunk.
So
That's that drunk
adrenaline's
part. That's
kicking.
that drunk
That's that
streak
pride.
right
That's
there.
that pride now.
Oh,
But that's
That's pride.
part of your training.
Yeah.
Is that you know how to handle yourself
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah.
That you know how to conduct yourself like a professional
easier said than done.
in that situation.
Easier.
Yeah,
I
I
think we've
understand.
all failed there, right? I mean, when you that adrenaline can go on, we all do things that we regret. But this one was a very, very bad
But
mistake.
see, okay, this is the difference, bro. Yeah, we have failed, but we don't have that position of power
Exactly.
and can take someone's life when failing.
Exactly.
Okay,
And that's where the training comes in.
Yes.
That's where the training comes in.
Need better training, man. Definitely. man.
Absolutely.
yeah, but what is it? Is it a psyche training? Because
It's a both. I think it's both, man. Because look, again, I look at the fact that this dude shot, and there were civilians.
Right
There was
next
a car
to him.
right next to where
oh,
homeboy
wow.
dropped.
So, yeah.
Right where he dropped
could've hit
homeboy.
up the car.
There was
Yeah.
a car right there, bro. I would have been upset, man. Like, yo, you got to be kidding me, bro. Not just that you took this man's life, But you shot right next to my car, dude. Like,
Not even aware of your surroundings.
Bro, if I got kids in the car, bro, you gonna have to shoot another black man. Cause yo, we scuffing, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you got to be crazy, man. What is wrong with you?
Just to pull it out like
That's
that,
what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah.
Lou said it perfectly, bro. Be aware of the moment where you are, man. You got to be aware of that.
And the seriousness of the matter.
Yeah.
It was a ticket. It was a DUI,
Bro,
exactly.
bro. Y'all overdid it.
Well,
They overdid it.
now think about this. They try to hem him up. My man hemmed both of them up.
Yeah, he
So
did.
they probably like they can't grab him. They want gotta shoot him, which is still the wrong mindset. But that's pride. Now you're
Well, that's
pride
kicking
come
in, right?
Yeah.
So they're thinking about that.
Now they're
safety.
scared of him a little bit.
But when he's running off,
That's the thing.
that's the whole
That's what I'm
different
saying.
thing.
That's the
I
thing.
can see if like
That's
homeboy
the
was
thing.
on top of them putting some
Yeah.
blows on his head.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case. He just like, yo, I'm out.
Exactly.
You know, he was trying to get away.
And you have his information. Once again,
Yeah.
you know where he lived.
And again,
you
it's, it's 2 white cops and 1 black man.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
where there's the other way around, if the guy was white, he probably wouldn't have got shot.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm
you
saying?
just said that the dude wanted to. He threatened the cops. You just said this dude threatened the cops with a bat.
Yeah.
He swung it.
neighbor
He
across
actually
the street.
swung it?
Yeah, he was swinging it, yeah.
Oh, wow.
At them?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they were at a little bit distance, but he was swinging it like trying to be threatening towards them.
And they didn't even pull out the taser.
Yeah, no, they didn't even pull out the taser on him or everything. They just was talking him down. And they talked him down eventually. I give props to the police for doing that.
Wow.
But yeah.
Listen, wow, that's I give him credit. Listen, in my life, growing up, I've met good cops and I met bad cops. I remember it was a cop and we had a riot, and actually my aunt hit the police officer in the face and broke his tooth.
Oh, man, I remember that.
You remember that? And listen, he had all the right. Now he older. That tooth ain't coming back.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay, this, you know what I mean? That tooth, and this is his front tooth. Ooh. This is his front tooth. So, and they detained us. We was all minors. They detained us. They put us in and the guy, I give him all the credit in the world, bought a soda. He told her, good punch, good one. He said, that's a good one right there. You know what I mean? Cool as a
different breed.
White guy, cool as a fan.
Yeah.
He didn't take advantage of the situation because he could have. And he was cool as a fan with us, and we talked to him. She apologized because he was so cool. She got convicted because he was being so nice to us, and he got. Now, on the other hand, as a minor, I remember we was going. They was detaining us and they was bringing us downtown, and they waited till the elevators closed, and me and Billy was inside of the elevator, and they beat us up in the elevator, punching us in the face while we was handcuffed and everything. And we was minors. I was like 14, 13 years old, punching us in the face and everything. Then when the elevator doors open, they act like it never happened. Like, calm down, guys. You know what I mean? Like it never happened. And they was just giving us
Shadiness.
they was giving us the beaters inside that place. But again, so you got different
Type of cops, yeah.
Different.
You got good and bad.
You got good and bad. And it I don't know who has what training. They probably went under the same training. Personality.
It's just, depravity, man. Listen, man. Cops, even though they're sworn to do a duty, man, they sinners just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And for some people, authority and power, man, it gets them drunk.
Yes.
With how
Oh,
they treat
man,
others,
bro.
man.
Yes.
Plain and simple, man. Whether it's condescending speech, whether it's physical
That's another
abuse.
thing. That's another
You know what I
thing.
mean? It's just
And
comes
that's what
with it.
escalates the tension.
Yeah.
Cops act like you cannot even ask them a question.
Yeah.
Power trip. They be
Yeah,
power
it's
tripping.
such a
I don't think that
trip.
was the case in this situation, but it's. I know I've experienced that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens as well. But believe it or not, another issue, and I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but when you go through the system, because you were mentioning it, you were arrested and stuff like that. When you go through the system, sometimes the COs, correctional officers, abuse these prisoners and inmates, and that just exacerbates the whole problem as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So
actually,
you go from one aspect of authority, and correctional officers are totally different than police officers. Then you come and you deal with that, and listen, man, you get locked up. It's emasculating. Period. They strip you down and make you carve all that nastiness. Anyways. And then you have that kind of experience going on as well.
Then you
and
come
there's
out
abuse there.
and you come out. Now you hate The whole system.
You hate the entire
cops.
system.
You hate COs.
Now-
You end up hating white people.
And it makes you,
Yeah.
And not only that, right? So
there's
you low
colored
income.
people that's CEOs too, though.
That's prevalent in minority communities.
Yeah,
man.
but
A
check
lot
this
of them
out,
just,
right?
like,
So
hate
you
white
low
people.
income, right? And now you got to go stand before a judge, go through the preliminary, all that stuff, right? Get charged, and they appoint a lawyer to you who really is not for you because you ain't about that. You ain't got the money.
And wants you in and out. He's just rushing it.
So this is where I think where black people are trying to point to, like, there's an entire system here that's against us.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And that is the difficult part. And anybody who's been caught up in white, black, Hispanic, and they're poor, they're impoverished, or they don't have the money to afford a good lawyer, they catching the heat of the system, man. You
Yeah.
get caught up in it. And I give an example of someone I know, and without giving out any names, but first time offender did 10 years for an offense that he would probably do 3 to 5.
Wow.
Cuomo gets addressed that problem, that low income problem.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, it's not fair that if you get caught for petty larceny or something,
Yeah.
and you go to jail and you can't make bail, then you got to spend 2 weeks in jail for some small stuff.
Yeah.
But dude that got money, he could get bailed out same night. He said that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he made that new rule, which is kind of bad. It has some bad aspects to
I don't
it.
agree with everything,
They
yeah.
have to fine tune it.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
gotta they gotta give judges
just
more
releasing
power.
dudes to release,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when you go in, let's say it's a petty larceny, but then your bail is $2,000.
Yeah, you ain't got 2,000. That's why you stealing.
Exactly. You barely got the money just for that, and then bond, right? Half of that is $1,000. Now you ain't even got a G.
Right.
All right, come on, man. The system itself is
flawed.
It's got some issues.
It's
without
against
a doubt.
low income
people. It exacerbates the problem for low income people. So what we have now is this bubbling over that's going on, and now people are more angry, they're more upset, they're more violent. There's no respect for authority. Why? Because anything that is referenced to justice,
Right.
on their sake, is not there.
The justice system is skewed towards people with money.
Listen.
That's a capitalist issue, right?
Yes,
there. That's
yes.
all that is.
Everything,
And I ain't knocking it. I
everything
like
is skewed
capitalism.
for people with money.
Well, yeah,
Listen,
seriously.
cash rules everything around me.
Yeah.
Listen, but let me play devil's advocate for that. I know COs. I know COs, customers of mine, people of color, and and to play the other side is that their shifts are in those cells with them.
Yeah.
The isolation aspect of it.
Oh, they feel like they're in prison.
Yeah. So like you said, so the reform needs to be helping with that too, because it's depressing.
Yeah.
And then if they work overtime and hours, they're kind of like in jail too.
Yeah.
Now they got a little bit more rights, they got a little more freedom, they can walk, but they're in behind those walls.
And not
for
only
long
that,
hours.
dealing with inmates that
And
have
then
no
dealing with-
respect,
Right. So
throwing
then
feces
they
at you,
form
just
that
spitting
clique.
on you. Yeah.
They form
So
that
you got
clique
two cliques.
mentality.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
us against them. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Because that's the jail is all about that. You got the blacks over here, the whites over here, the Hispanics over here. Then you got the other team, the COs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody form cliques, and you get that clique mentality, and they contribute to the mistreating of prisoners.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
The injustice, yeah.
And then again, being in that environment so long plays on your mental.
Of course.
So that's why you get these outbursts of
abuse.
misconduct, and
I
abuse, because they going through it too. That's what I say. So let's look at both sides. You
Of
know what I
course,
mean?
yeah.
They that's not the best job. They getting paid. Yeah, they making money, but man, to be working that, you kind of like feel like you're in jail too. You got to go there every day.
Not only that, the
long
divorce
hours.
rate for correctional officers
Exactly.
is through the roof. It's
Probably
higher than
very
the
high.
national average.
So there you go. We need prison reform.
It's a
Prison
exactly
reform
right.
is big.
In Europe, prison.
Oh,
You heard
see
about
that?
the prisons in
I
Europe?
seen like a documentary.
It's like a camp. They let the prisoners out.
Yup.
Go ahead, go out, go shopping, hold on, boom. You can come back in. They actually try to rehabilitate.
They do, though.
the
That's the
prisoners.
goal,
And that's the
rehabilitation.
goal.
And they're
Yeah.
successful.
That's not-
It's
but that's not the
They give them
case here in
jobs.
America.
They give them everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very
Training.
successful. Training, everything they need.
Yeah.
And like you said, and when you work your way up to a certain level, you can leave
Yeah.
the prison
Yeah.
and come back.
They provide
interesting.
therapy, bro. They
Yeah.
provide therapy
So
for
now when they
prisoners.
go out in the community, they're productive.
Yeah.
They're productive. Now,
Yeah.
that's true rehabilitation.
They heal them psychologically. They
Yes,
provide
yes,
therapy.
yes.
Meanwhile, American prisons,
Oh my God.
once I come out, I'm a better criminal, right?
Not only that, once I come out, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Like, I've been handed everything.
Yes.
And all I had to do was play a survival game.
Yes.
But I've been handed everything. Now I got to get up and get it myself. I have to have a determination.
You can't
I
get
have
it
the
yourself.
will.
You can't get it yourself because in the system, if you got that
that's
check
another.
mark, felon,
That's
you
another.
can't do anything. Nobody
so now
gonna
I
hire
have to
you.
look how to get it myself, and I have to try to market myself all over again to a market that's already against me. And now self-determination now, because see, I don't have that lay back and you feed me and you give me whatever and you give me everything. Now I have to go get it. I have to go get it.
But when you multiple years of having someone tell you, wake up, go to eat, go take a shower, all that stuff, and it's they feeding your child, you become conditioned without a doubt. You become, and it's called institutionalization.
Exactly.
You become institutionalized, and what ends up happening when you come out into the free world, you can't adapt, you can't cope. And that's not true of every person, but so many struggle.
Yes.
So many struggle that like, yo, man, it's been handed. And so what ends up happening, let me commit another crime, I just go back to prison.
Exactly.
You got guys that literally
Exactly.
will do that, to go back to prison because that's where they felt most secure.
Exactly.
They had everything in order for their lives.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And-
And so they had no discipline outside of prison, but all the discipline inside of prison.
And that definitely contributes to the highest prison population in the world. That's probably a factor that
crazy,
contributes
man.
to it.
And we got to realize too the age. They get, especially in the black community, they get a lot of the young boys very young. So think about that. You
That's
know what I'm
another-
saying? That
yes.
you have not even really experienced what it means to be responsible in life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To go through life knowing what it means to be a man yet. So you develop that in prison.
Yeah.
You're taught, you know what I'm saying, that this is what's acceptable for you. So you have no real concept of what it really means to be a man in this world,
So they-
to have
big.
responsibility.
It's big.
So when you come out, you're still basically a child. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
And you have
exactly.
childlike tendencies.
Exactly.
And then you revert back to what? Comfort, right?
Exactly.
So we're creatures of comfort. So you go back to the things that you knew before, trying to see if maybe that'll work, or if I can maybe get away with it this time. Then you get caught up again. Boom.
Yeah,
Listen, responsibility. Everybody can't deal with responsibility the same way.
that's
Come
a
on,
fact.
let's not. How many people we've grown up with? It's challenging for some people, man, to be more responsible. And then you go and have kids, and now you're responsible for other lives, and they can't even be
Well, it's
responsible
not
for
even.
their lives.
Think about that. Like, let's say if you got you're a single mom. Let's say your mom is fiended out. You're responsible for her. You're responsible for your brothers and sisters if you're the oldest one, right? There's a pressure. There's a pressure for a lot of young minorities, black, white, and I would say white in the sense that if they're impoverished, right?
Low
If they're
income whites,
low-income whites, right? Hispanics as well. When the home is broken and you put an expectation on some of these kids to be adults at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you know what I'm saying? That robs them of their childhood. And what ends up happening, they grow up quicker than normal, and they break down, man. Yo, when you got that kind of pressure, you say enough is enough. They just kids, man. So it's difficult in the world that we live in. And how does the church react to all that, right? How do we intervene? And I think sometimes we miss it.
Yes.
We miss it. And what I mean by we miss it is that we don't see the needs the way other worldly people can see the needs.
Exactly.
So we forget about where we've come from and we over spiritualize everything. Now, the gospel without a doubt needs to be preached, but a lot of times the gospel is only preached by relationship. You start off, where are you struggling at? How can I be a blessing? How do I get to know you? How can I love you right where you're at? How can I love you just as who you are? And then you can preach the gospel. Right. Now, if they come to the church, then that's a great opportunity to preach the gospel. But sometimes, man, it's just relationships where it's got to start.
And that's gonna play on my final thought. My final thought is this: we know the body and we congregate, and the Bible says, "Don't forsake the gathering of the saints." But we need to get outside the walls of the church. I believe that us as people of God, we have a light to show. And I think that it starts off with your community. It starts off in your neighborhood. It starts off with your neighbors. How many of us Christians don't even know our neighbors or our neighbors down the street? And what message is that saying to the people? You know what I mean? So I think that my final thought is this. us as Christians, the believers, we need to start building those relationships with people in the community. We need to get back down to getting our hands dirty. We need to be brave and go out there and speak the good news. It doesn't have to be all it doesn't have to be all it could be informal. You know what I mean? It could be down to earth. It could just be saying hi and showing love the Brooklyn way. But I think that we need to get our hands dirty and come outside the confinements of the church, go into the communities, speak to your family members. That I'm not saying you have to be with them every day, but at least reach out, show that love, show the gospel, show what God is doing in your life. And I think that needs to be done in today's era.
Amen.